Hey, Action Shelf listeners, before we jump into the show itself, we want to tell you about how you can get even more action in your life.
Mm.
That appeals to you.
More action. More action, you
More
say,
action,
John.
you say. Yes. If you go over to our Podbean patron page, that's patron.podbean.com/punchup. You can listen to Lisman and I watch, what's this? Good action movies.
Good action movies, you say?
That's right. A change of pace. We thought behind the paywall, let's give people something of quality. So,
And give us something of quality.
I know, it's such a pleasure to do that. So twice a month, you and I will be doing commentary tracks that you can download for good action movies, all kinds of awesome stuff from a lot of our heroes like John Woo. And we've done stuff from the John Wick franchise and Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all the guys we never get to talk about on here.
Yeah, stuff we legitimately love and love to share with you all.
Yeah.
So
you can listen to that as well as other cool exclusive content from the Punch Up Entertainment Network shows. Once again, the address for that is patron.podbean.com/punchup. And now, into the action.
The Action Show. Action Show. The Action Show. The Action Show.
Welcome to the Action Shelf. The podcast celebrates the glory of B action movies. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Michael Listman.
Oh, Listman, we continue Cynthia Rothrock's September here on the Action Shelf with yet another Cynthia Rothrock vehicle and yet another guest with us. Our friend Elisabeth Allie is with us.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Of course, this is in celebration, as we've said, of Cynthia Rothrock smashing that glass ceiling in action films. This is a month of non-male guests on the show as well, trying to mix things up and not just be yet another show about two white dudes talking action.
I mean, it usually is that, but it's nice to break the mold a little bit.
It really is, especially because Cynthia Rothrock was kind of one of the first to really break the mold, at least in Western action cinema. We've talked about how she started out actually in Hong Kong with people like Michelle Yeoh and Jackie Chan. Yes, this week we're talking about 1992's Rage and Honor. And I was saying this last week on the show. I am disappointed their names are not Rage and Honor.
It's true.
Yeah,
more movies need to do that trope because it's hilarious.
It is so funny. Where are more Tango and Cashes out there?
Exactly.
And who was the angry one? I mean, they were both kind of mildly pissed.
That is true. It's a weird. We were saying this before that basically any movie we watch could be called Rage and Honor, probably, and. It is. I didn't quite see where I think the rage is actually coming from the villain, right? I
was actually just thinking that. Yeah, Rage being the villain and Honor being Cynthia Rothrock.
I think that maybe is what it's referring to. Although then that gets mixed up.
And then also there's an Australian man as well. So, yeah.
We got
an Australian man who stole the movie.
Richard Norton.
What was that?
This is our first time watching Richard Norton, Australian martial arts star. And even, I mean, I rarely talk about these posters. I do want to talk about this poster though, only because clearly Cynthia Rothrock had changed her hair for a different movie, and the picture is her with a different haircut and this red hair dye. But then the picture from the movie on the poster is her with the blonde hair that's in the movie. So that's pretty funny. But I was going to say, even on the poster, Richard Norton's got that open shirt, man. This guy, man.
Well, and the picture that was on Prime was clearly an homage to Lethal Weapon. Like they were
Yes.
both in that same position. We were just like, okay, all right.
Yeah, this is it's interesting because I'm looking at there's different posts. Yes, I see that now. That is the very Lethal Weapon one. But then the DVD covers are just her and like fire behind her. But this really is kind of a buddy cop movie. That's why the Rage and Honor once again missed opportunity to call them that. Because it is this. I mean, you even get the whole thing by the end of the movie where they're like, "You're my partner." So I think huge missed opportunity then to call them Rage and Honor. But yeah, this comes to us from it's another auteur, Listman, writer director Terrence H. Winkless.
Yep.
A man.
What has he worked on?
Well, I'll tell you, Listman. Primarily, he is known for being a director of 38 episodes of the original Power Rangers series.
I'm seeing that.
And
Beetleborgs.
yeah,
as
he
well.
did a lot of those Saban produced 90s shows where they repurposed Japanese footage and then film stuff with like teenage actors. He did a lot of those. He stuck around for a few Power Rangers spin-offs too. He also did 17 episodes. If anyone remembers the bike cop drama Pacific Blue with Mario Lopez.
Nope.
He directed 18 episodes of that. That was a cable show.
That USA, that must have been USA.
It was
Network.
100% a USA Network show. It had a very I remember that and Silk Stockings, I think was also on USA. And they were all in kind of the Baywatch sort of mold of like cheap, pseudo syndicated, vaguely sexy but non-explicit kind of shows.
Exactly.
I mean,
That's
literally
good point.
the image for it is just a shirtless Mario Lopez on the beach. That's it. And it's like if you're into that, then watch Pacific Blue.
And what about his show 18 Wheels of Justice starring Billy D. Williams?
Yeah, I think this has come up on the show before, Listman.
Has it?
I think it has. I think we've seen some other stuff from directors of this show because I remember this title. How can you forget a show called 18 Wheels of Justice? And yes, that stars Lando Calrissian himself. That is what is this is about people fighting crime out of a semi truck?
I believe that's correct.
Oh
yes.
my god. Okay.
Be awesome.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Like Tiny House on Wheels. They were ahead of their time.
That is amazing. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff this guy is directing, and he wrote and directed this video. Is he in it? He's an actor too.
He is. He's the guy at the end who like picks him up. Farmer guy with the hay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the super weird ending of this movie.
Yes. Yeah, where he turns into David Banner and goes off to like be a fugitive and perhaps help people along the way.
It does have that kind of end. The other thing I thought is he's going to drive back to Australia from Los Angeles now. Hey, you just got to go right over that Pacific Ocean and we're good. Yeah, Rage and Honor. I will say the other thing that I was disappointed by, not enough her being a high school teacher. That was in the plot description, and I thought, oh my god, we've got another substitute on our hands.
That's exactly what why is she a high school teacher?
There's
There's no reason.
No sense. The only teaching you see her doing is martial arts. Like,
Right.
she had a
plays a part
student
in-
who immediately was put into the hospital. Like, that was it.
Yes, we meet one student, because the only time we see her at the school is after school, and she's locking up the classroom.
Yes.
And because of that, I did a little deep dive, a shallow deep dive. I was like, oh, because of her look and her black leather, I was like, is this because of like Dangerous Minds, but the Michelle Pfeiffer, movie with but no, Dangerous Minds came like 3 years after this, which makes me think that this movie must have inspired that movie.
Clearly.
Definitely.
But yes, I had
perfect.
a similar thought. When I read the plot description, I thought, oh, this will be Dangerous Minds with martial arts, and I was here for it. I don't know why they don't just make her a martial arts instructor.
I don't know why either. Yeah.
There is no need at all for her to be a high school history teacher. Or what was the one where Dolph Lundgren, Detention, where he was the history teacher in the high school? But that was a Die Hard in a high school scenario with Dolph.
Right. So it made sense that he was a teacher.
I mean, as much
In
sense
its
as
own way.
I was gonna say, as much sense as Dolph Lundgren being a teacher makes sense. But always former special forces soldier / high school teacher, because I love the idea of high school teacher / martial arts master.
Yeah.
Because every Cynthia Rothrock movie is she's something / she's a we've already this month we've seen her as a criminal psychologist / martial arts instructor. We've seen her
A cop,
a cop / martial arts expert.
a bodyguard.
Yeah, that's the one that made the most sense. She was working as like private
Yes.
security, much like Richard Norton in this movie, who's
Yes.
also a cop.
For what reason? Like, was that his cover? Like, was he there to bust, the broken face dude? But then wasn't supposed to intervene in any other crime? Like, it made no sense.
Well, they make this big
I
deal
got the
about.
sense he was being punished, right? Like,
is
you
that
gotta
right?
guard.
I
thought so.
I took it as he's not allowed to do police work, so he's doing that moonlighting for money. Because they make a deal about he's come from Sydney or whatever because his partner was killed by Drago? Is that right?
I don't think so. I think that was unrelated.
Well, then that really makes no sense. Because that would be the thing you would think would link them together. Would be that we're both after the same guy who, spoilers, the big twist in this movie, is also Cynthia Rothrock's brother. But the thing I was going to ask Elizabeth before we dive into the plot is, this is your first Cynthia Rothrock experience. What did you think of Cynthia Rothrock?
Okay, so I had a lot of feelings about this,
Okay.
and I kind of I at least went through Wikipedia to like see how she came up and all of that.
Yeah.
And it feels like, obviously, she's a fantastic fighter and like really dynamic. I feel like they didn't use her very well here, and I wondered what it was like in other movies because, I mean, not to denigrate her, she doesn't have a lot of like screen presence. She's not. Your eye isn't like drawn to her.
It's always the caveat of this show, which is we love her, she's amazing. She is not the finest actress on the planet. We know this.
No.
But what I think in the 1.5 movies that I've seen is she kind of does bring that like sassy, quippy sort of dry humor.
Yes.
And I wish they had used that more, but I kind of felt like she got lost on the screen, and I feel like they agreed because they had her big showdown with her brother, which meant nothing. She got thrown off the building, and then the other guy finished him off, and then she's just like carted away. Like, it was like they decided 3/4 of the way through, like, this isn't working. Let's make this guy the star of this movie instead.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had a similar feeling, and it's not the first time this has kind of happened to her where they're like, well, it's really about this guy, actually. Because, I mean, there's no question that there is sort of still, while she was presented as the female JCVD, it is there is still this like, but we better pair her with a guy and he'll still do most of the heavy lifting. Do you feel like that's been the case in several of the movies we've watched, Listman?
Oh, 100%. And it's weird because she's the one who has the emotional connection to the plot of the movie, not him.
That's why I'm saying
So she should be the main character.
That's what I'm saying. It's weird that he is not there specifically to go after this guy, so they're on like equal foot. If it was like, well, she's my brother and killed our master, and he's like, well, he murdered my partner back in Australia, then you're like, okay, you both have a personal vendetta against this guy.
That'd be great. And it'd be an easy fix. It would be so easy. Just one line of dialogue.
Instead, it just seems like, I'm with the police captain who's like, what are you doing here in the city? Like, what the hell do you want?
It just makes me wonder if it's a deficit of the screenwriting, or if people just didn't really care that much, or if it's because everybody behind these movies just had no confidence at all in her acting ability and just wanted her there to fight.
Yeah, I think it's probably a combination of all of them. And I will say this is a guy who goes on to direct a lot of Power Rangers and stuff. This is not a particularly skilled filmmaker who like and the fact that he's also the writer here, I don't have a lot of confidence in the script, which a lot of these movies are a flimsy excuse for fight scenes. You know, that's kind of what you get in for. But this one is particularly, it's not even flimsy as much as it's like, wait, what? I don't quite, I mean, it doesn't make a ton of sense. I mean, it does once we come to the fight scenes. Yeah.
I still don't understand where what's the guy's, so Michaels gets in a fight with that one guy and the guy starts throwing him out the window and then the police come, so he saves him and then they're cool with each other and then that comes around at the end too. And I was like, I don't remember how that happened.
No, there's so much like switching of allegiances in this movie that I really didn't, especially down the stretch. Once we were in the climactic fight, I had no idea who was on whose side. Really, it was like, wait. And there were times where I was like, wait, that guy's with them now? That guy in particular, the guy you're talking about, I was like, is he good now? I don't. And, oh my God, the amazing force of nature that is the character of Hannah.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Hannah the Hun.
Hannah the Hun. MVP of the movie,
Best
in my
character.
opinion. Alex Datcher is this actress's name. Ooh, she was on Star Trek The Next Generation. Oh, she's in Passenger 57. And she's in episodes of 18 Wheels of Justice.
She was great. I want a movie about her, and I really liked Rita Carrion as Terry, the redhead. I thought she looked like a young Lucy Lawless, and I thought she was great. And of course, you know, Brian Thompson, who's Drago. I've seen, like, I want a spin-off with those three.
Yes,
like,
the crime underworld they build in this movie is kind of interesting, actually. Everybody's got like weird quirks and stuff. We were just talking beforehand that we've talked about him a few times on this show. We're huge Brian Thompson fans on the Action Shelf. And I was saying, like, he is a martial artist, but he's also like an actual trained actor. I think the thing we're reacting to with these three people is they're like actual actors who have experience. And because like Brian Thompson is in real deal. I was just saying to you, Liz, he was just in the Coen Brothers Macbeth movie because he's also like a Shakespearean actor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, and he does a lot of this genre stuff. Lisman, you were just going through the X-Files, and of course he played the alien bounty hunter on there.
Reoccurring villain.
Yeah, but he
does a great job.
He brings something to this. Bad guy is kind of interesting to watch. He's kind of weird. He makes some weird choices. More interesting than when he was the night slasher in Cobra at the beginning of this. Although didn't a lot of his stuff get cut, if I recall, in that? Like most of his backstory and explanations of what his character was doing. So he basically just becomes a psychopath with axes fighting Stallone in that movie. Yes. Which is fine. I mean, Brian Thompson Stallone fighting with axes was pretty cool, but
it was cool. Yeah, but they cut all this stuff, unfortunately.
Except for his weird monologue at the end where he's like, "I am God." Yeah, here as by my theory, possible brother of Ivan Drago from Rocky IV. Maybe he's part of the family too. I don't know. I'd like to think Cynthia's the one that changed her name, and the family name is Drago. No, she's once again playing. This is the most normal name we've seen her have, and it's still Chris with a K. But it's better than what was she? She's been Jana. She was Jana in one of the most recent movies we watched, and
her characters' names are always very weird. Which is a shame because her actual name is so cool.
Cynthia Rothrock.
It sucks that all of her. Yeah, that's a great name.
When I believe that's her first husband's name, and she went with it because how could you not? Yeah, her real her actual last name is Morawski. Cynthia Morawski, which is okay,
which
but
sounds like a cop name for a buddy cop movie.
It does. Morawski, get in here. But Rothrock is just way cool. It's the same thing with Susan Sarandon. Married Chris Sarandon. Stuck with it because, come on, Susan Sarandon, great name.
Rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, same thing with Cynthia Rothrock. So yeah, let's dive into this movie. Initially, I thought, is this gonna get real arty when it starts with these black and white shots? I was like, ooh, Rage and Honor.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Thank
turns out
goodness it did not stick.
No, turns out
not even through the entire opening credits did it stick.
It didn't even stick through that, but also then it goes to like, oh, it's surveillance footage of her. Somebody's watching her. And then finally it's like, oh no, it's just some weird teen with a camera. A very 1992 camera.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed when they had to plug the camera into a VCR to watch what was on the tape, because I'm like, oh man, I remember these days, kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think some of the movies we shot in high school, Listman, were shot on stuff like that, where we had to plug the camera in to watch the movie we
most
made.
certainly.
Yeah.
Or you had to get the bigger tape to put the little tape in it to like get it to go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Lots of oh god, I remember editing between like two VCRs, right? You go like one to the other, or recording stuff off a TV where you hit the pause on the record during the commercial. Kids, things weren't fun.
Yeah,
we had a rough time in the
old.
90s. It was tough, man.
editing was a pain in the ass.
That was how I
sure.
kept TV shows. It's like, I better record The Simpsons and then pause during the commercials so I can have these. So yeah, so someone's recording her. Meanwhile, we have what we just discovered from reading Richard Norton's biography before the recording here, kind of based on his own life of doing bodyguard work for a rock band. Richard Norton, who got his black belt in karate at 17. Here, let's see. He landed his first job as bodyguard to the Rolling Stones, and then also did bodyguard work for James Taylor, ABBA, Fleetwood Mac, David Bowie, and Linda Ronstadt.
Oh.
Before it was Chuck Norris who brought him into the movie game. By the way, his fighting nickname, Richard the Lionhearted.
Nice. That's classic.
Love a good Shakespearean reference.
Oh my god! Hang on. Apparently he made several movies with Cynthia Rothrock other than this. So much so that a British film magazine deemed them the Astaire and Rogers of martial arts movies.
Okay.
I mean, you can do that. I don't see a lot of chemistry between them, but
not really. Yeah. I'm glad they didn't really force a romance between the two of them.
Thank God. Is this the first one that hasn't that we've done, Listman?
Yes.
Because I think
this
every
is the first time.
other movie we've done this month with her, they have shoehorned in a romance between her and the male lead. And I was so happy that this is totally platonic. Even I thought they were gonna when he goes to the dojo and she's in the shower, I thought, oh, here comes the sexual tension. Not really.
Here comes the scene where he walks in while she's taking a shower, and she's like, "Oh, you caught me in a," we've seen it.
I mean, that's aside from a couple of them. One of the things we do like about Cynthia Rothrock is she's not overly sexualized, which is unusual, of course, especially at this time. Jesus, because she is a very attractive woman. You would think they would do that. The first movie we did this month was that kind of, I always say, alleged erotic thriller, Sworn to Justice.
It certainly attempted that.
It wanted to be sexy, that's for sure. It was about as sexy as an episode of Pacific Blue, actually.
Yes.
It had that level of sex in it. I do like the way that it's like after hours at the school here at the beginning, and this kid is just following around with the camera, and she's like, ugh, you again. And he seems to know she fights people.
Well, she's not hiding it. Like she's handing out flyers for her dojo.
But it's one thing if I know someone teaches martial arts, then I better follow them around with a camera because they're always just getting in fights.
I mean, it's about as much logic as this movie has. So
but I like where you just go because the news is offering money for good footage or something like that. This kid's gonna grow up to be Jake Gyllenhaal in Nightcrawler is what's gonna happen.
Right, exactly.
Or he's gonna work for TMZ.
Yes.
He'll be taking signs to that guy with the giant tumbler. But yeah, I just thought, like, he goes, well, if I follow you around, I'm sure to get some good footage because you're constantly getting in street fights.
And a teacher.
And he's not wrong, because all she does is go to an ATM, and wouldn't you believe, some very movie hooligans show up.
Did you notice, John, in this scene when she's standing at the ATM, above the ATM, there's a reflective surface, and you can see a boom mic, which is very, very
It's
funny.
Impossible not to notice, really. It's not only a boom mic, it's a boom mic inside of one of those giant foam plastic encasements for it, a windscreen. So it makes the boom mic like 3 times larger, and it's moving around up there. Yeah, good stuff, movie.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I understand. I always go, like, these things were meant to be watched on a small screen on a VHS tape in 1992. Because this thing never saw theaters, of course.
Oh, God, no.
If that wasn't evident. But yes, she's approached by, and once again, in broad daylight, she's approached by one of them has a bat, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, but they kind of look like they're auditioning for a Mad Max sequel that's shooting soon or
A
something.
little bit. We've got some leather jackets. We've got some... I mean, there's a lot of mullets in this movie.
The other thing that kind of gave me a vibe of is like RoboCop, where this kind of tone is sort of... But that's like satirical, right? That there's just crime everywhere constantly. And I understand it's supposed to be like a bad part of Los Angeles, but my God, it's like... Also, I love that they're really willing to commit some serious crime here for like the $60 she's taken out of the ATM.
It should have been in 5s, to be like period appropriate.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here you go. Here's $20. I'm gonna murder this lady over it.
Yeah.
But they don't know what they're doing, because I do like that this first spin kick she does. She takes out 2 guys with it.
Yeah, it's so cool. They're both reaching down for the money, and she kicks both of them in the head with the same kick. It's very cool.
Because now, anytime Cynthia Rothrock is actually fighting people, that's when the movie gets good, and that's true about all of her movies. It's like she when the camera, like you're talking about, Elizabeth, when the camera is drawn to her is when she's fighting, because she does. We've talked about this before. Not only is she a great martial artist, she's a great movie martial artist. She knows how to sell it on film. And and there is something about she's a smaller woman beating up these big guys. I didn't catch the signature over her shoulder kick in this. Did you, this one?
No, she did like a scorpion kick.
Yeah,
but no, she didn't do like kick over her.
Because Elizabeth, her
shoulder.
big signature move is a guy will be behind her, and she'll kind of like lean back and then throw her foot over her own shoulder and hit a guy.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it's impressive. Yeah. It's very cool. That's why they use it in a lot of her movies.
Yeah.
So we're intercutting this with Preston Michaels. The guy's got 2 last names. And he's running security. But I like that the problem that arises has nothing to do with security. It's he notices a robbery. I also love that because of the budget of this movie, unnamed rock band, and 2, they have like 10 fans that are out there screaming at the back door. Because
there's 10 fans, and the music that they are playing is the most generic stock rock and roll music you can find on the internet.
Like, it's even that was better. It's not even that complicated. It's just that kind of like but he's like, excuse me, I'm gonna let my bodyguard duties slide here because there's a robbery in that alley. And he's gonna get in trouble for this.
He sure is.
He's expressly not supposed to be fighting crime.
You're a loose cannon.
I love that. I love where it's just like, what did we say? What did we say about fighting crime in this city?
That's our job.
Yeah. So we get these intercutting shots of them fighting, and Cynthia Rothrock gets a one-liner to an ATM, which I think is the first. When she looks and the thing says "Have a nice day" and everyone's unconscious, she goes, "I'll pass that on." There's a couple. There's also another one Richard Norton has later in the movie, which I wrote down.
It's a lot of one-liners.
He has a lot of one-liners, but he has another one that's to no one. Once again, I love when people
That's
just say
true.
one-liners to themselves. I think it's in the hospital when he's fighting, and like everyone's unconscious, and then he busts it out and runs away. There's a really awkwardly delivered one. So he's in trouble, and they're like, God, yeah, I don't know. I'm as baffled as the police captain as to why this Australian cop is in her city and now kicking a bunch of people in the face.
Who can say?
Yeah, stop doing this.
Because he's never been a part of the police force in Los Angeles. Is that correct?
That's the idea. They talk about he has no jurisdiction here, right? Isn't there something about that?
Yeah. Okay. I was trying to understand because he has a relationship with the police officers in this.
I get
like
this.
he knows the police.
Oh, I get the sense that he keeps fighting crime, and they're telling him stop, and so he keeps getting dragged in.
Okay.
You
Gotcha.
have to stop beating up criminals.
Well, at one point, she points to a picture of Drago and was like, "You should be finding guys like this." So I was like, "Oh, is he like there and he's supposed to be working on bigger fish, that's why?"
Well, that was,
yeah, it seemed like
that's
they knew each
why.
other.
That's why I got confused when she said that. I thought, "Oh, has he come here to hunt Drago?" But I think you're right. They're just going like, "All right, if you're just gonna be a vigilante in the city, why don't you hunt this guy?"
Yeah.
It's some sound logic there.
And he's another. We've seen so many of these on the show. He's another kung fu cop. It's just like, I pretty much don't use guns unless I absolutely have to. I am primarily a kung fu cop, which I just find hilarious. But then Cynthia Rothrock is in the police station passing out flyers to her. What she describes as, I thought this was funny, martial science.
Yes.
This is not martial arts. This is martial science. Which, by the way, call
That's
the movie
like,
that. There's your title.
That is a better title. That's some like guru kind of cult shit.
It is. And also, if I have to see the fucking yin yang in another one of these martial arts movies, that is always their like, that's Asian in these movies.
Yep.
Exactly.
I don't know what it means, but I'm gonna put it in there.
I don't think we've seen a single movie where that isn't painted on a dojo or on someone's business card, or it's always just like, that's as much as we know about Asian culture, because these are this movie almost, except for I think that one the bald henchman, is almost exclusively white people using martial arts.
Yes, definitely.
Which is, I mean,
and she teaches karate, correct?
I believe so.
Because she's a black belt, so yeah, she teaches karate, and of course, the Yin Yang is Chinese because it's Taoism. General appropriation, you know.
And what form did we looked up her one time? It's been a while. What she
Well, what she studies, I don't know if that's necessarily karate, but in the movie she teaches.
I just want to see
karate.
though. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like she has a few things, right?
Yeah.
I think she's one of those people who's got. I think. She has 5 black belts. I see here, which is amazing. None of them are karate, though.
Yeah.
She has 2 Korean forms of martial arts and 3 Chinese forms, including Wushu, Eagle Claw Kung Fu, and Northern Shaolin Kung Fu.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Wushu makes sense since she's worked with Jackie Chan. That does make sense.
But. And that's the classic, like, American action movie. They go, it's all the same thing.
It's all the same thing.
It doesn't matter. I mean, the fact that the Karate Kid, that reboot, had Jackie Chan teaching him Kung Fu, but they still called him Karate Kid, is like, oh, fuck. I mean, that movie's terrible for a lot of reasons, but
Kung Fu Kid, that sounds cool.
But that's not the property, man.
Yeah.
That was their thinking. Whatever. We have Cobra Kai now, and it's awesome. So, and once again, the kid is following her around. I like these people just wandering through the police station, these civilians, and like, you can't, I mean, you could, but I don't think they're going to, and they almost are just kind of like, oh, hi, Cynthia Rothrock. Yeah, another flyer for your class. Like, we don't have
a bunch of the cops take the class, right? So the 2 bumbling idiot cops.
And then I'm pretty sure from here on out, aside from that police captain, every cop is crooked.
Yes.
It seems like every single policeman is corrupt in this movie.
and
We don't
sometimes it
see
seems
that
like
many.
the captain could be corrupt too, or just super lazy and like doesn't care, which is worse.
Certainly incompetent. Yeah, certainly incompetent.
But I mean, like, look, I'm all for portraying cops as complex at the very least, and not inherently good. But I think just making them purely evil as a whole is also not a great thing. But the movie has to do this thing where it's like, well, we can't go to the cops. That's why it just has to be us. So every single policeman is on Drago's payroll, I guess. Because I like how later in the hospital scene, a uniformed cop is just going to try to openly assassinate Preston.
Like, not even arrest, like fully just kill him.
Yeah, there's not even like I'm going to set this up to look like he drew on me. It's just like, there he is, blam, 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 blam. And just fire. There is so much wild firing into crowds in this movie. Later when we get to Fast Eddie, the nightclub owner, and he's shooting up his own club, I found that hilarious.
Yes, while the band is still playing. Which was
the band does not react at all.
Those guys are pros, all right? They are pros.
Yeah, they're fucking professionals.
Yeah. We will not stop until the set is done. So yeah.
They're inspired by the band playing on the Titanic, you know?
The previous week they had been at the Roadhouse bar, you know, from the Swayze movie.
Yes.
They're like, this is nothing.
If you can play through a throat ripping, you can play through it.
The Double Deuce. That's the Roadhouse bar.
Yeah.
Where there's murders every night. We've talked about we got to do something with that movie. It's too big to do on the show, but we got to do a commentary or something because that movie. That movie's amazing.
Commentary.
Well, you know they're making a remake with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Which is the weirdest career move for that guy, but I love that he's doing this. Somewhere deep in his heart, he wants to be an action hero. That's pretty clear, based on his recent choices. But so these guys, that's later in the movie. Let's go to the introduction of Brian Thompson, where he's doing evil kung fu with fire and ice.
Listening to opera.
I just love this introduction. I mean, number one is Brian Thompson. Then they put this crazy blonde hair on him, and then he's doing this insane, like, pain training thing with ice and fire, and you're like, oh yeah, I guess it's the bad guy.
No sane person would do this.
Where did he even get that ice block? Like, where? Make it himself?
Where do you get a giant block of ice like that outside of the turn of the century?
People are like, oh, you're gonna have like a liquor luge, you're gonna have like a fun party, and he's like, yeah, no. Come on.
Okay, so
something like that.
Listman, he has a black belt in Hapkido. Is what Brian Thompson has. Can I just say my favorite part of his IMDb biography though, which is Brian says that no gym can claim him as a member, and his physique is kept honed by years of windsurfing and kite surfing. I just love no gym can claim him as a member, and if they try, they're liars.
It's like a wild stallion. Okay,
no gym can claim me.
I am my own man.
Yeah. So he shows up, and boy, he is having fun in this movie. Is this complete? I mean, is Conrad Drago the best villain name we've heard yet, Listman? It's up there.
It's up there for sure.
Conrad Drago. That's a comic book bad guy name if I've ever heard it.
Yeah.
I was saying that's like I want to see Shang-Chi versus Conrad Drago, who truly is the best martial artist. I love so this is also where we meet Rita, who is his partner / girlfriend
/ like mommy. Like that was weird.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
She brings him a plate of drugs because he licks it and goes, you need to cut it with some chemical. I can't
something.
But I love the idea of like, was this cocaine or heroin or something? And he just licks the plate like, no, not enough ether or whatever.
Missing just a like a soupçon of ketamine, you know, just a dash of it.
Yeah, just throw that in. I love the connoisseur of drugs here that this guy is.
I'm getting notes of methamphetamine.
is there a little chili powder in here?
Well, just a little bit of achiote paste,
Sea salt, just
Yeah.
brings it alive.
Yeah, this is the artisanal drug lord. All right, this is where you
Yeah.
come.
It
to,
mixes well with the bath salts.
Yeah,
See,
this is
that's
small
the trick.
batch, handcrafted cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought that was fun, and yeah, their relationship is so weird.
There could be something interesting here if it was like a Lady Macbeth sort of relationship, where she's sort of, because she is sort of convincing him to kill his sister.
Yes.
So there could be she's been manipulating him the whole time or something, but they don't really go into it.
That would have made it so much more interesting. Like, why did he kill the sensei? Like,
Yeah.
they have this kind of setup and no context whatsoever. What if he got this hot girlfriend and she's like, you know what you need to do? Kill your sensei and your sister. And he's like, well, one out of two ain't bad. And she's like, you still need to kill your sister, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, because the thing we find out is that their parents were murdered, and Drago avenged that murder by murdering those people, and the sensei disagreed with that. I think is kind of what the movie leads us to think is what led to him killing him. But that's that's not very exciting dramatically. It's like, oh, that makes sense. But it's not as visceral as something like that. I do like the idea of her being the Lady Macbeth. The movie, almost goes there, but it's kind of like, It's more just like, it seems like he's evil, and then she's just making him more evil.
Right, exactly.
They're fairly ill-defined.
At first, he seems hesitant to kill his sister.
Yeah.
But by the end of the movie, for no reason, he's very much okay with killing his sister. So... yeah,
well, that's pretty common
interesting.
for an action shelf movie, for whatever motivation to go out the window and turn these guys into cardboard bad guys by the, total psychopaths by the end of the movie. I do agree that these characters, if you actually start digging into it, are not good. However, these actors are, and they're bringing some personality to it, so they feel compelling, at least initially. You're like, oh, well, these two are more interesting than our leads, so... but then you go actually there's really nothing in the script. It's just purely them bringing any kind of personality to the role. So we established them, and let's see. So we got to go to Cynthia Rothrock's class, where we have to have at least one scene in a Cynthia Rothrock movie where she proves she's good at martial arts, because some man will question it. That's just a give. Nothing better than I can't remember if it's the last movie, no, I think it was Tiger Claws, where the guy, forget even a woman, the guy didn't believe martial arts, period, were quote real. Martial arts, those aren't real. That's still the best line I've maybe ever heard. He doesn't believe in the concept of martial arts. That's made up, man.
Yeah,
that was pretty funny. But here, yes, of course, she will end up taking Preston down to the mat, and that will show everyone like, oh shit, she knows what she's doing.
Preston is kind of a dick in this movie, isn't he?
Kind of.
Yeah, unabashedly a total
he just
scumbag.
Swaggers around this thing, man. He almost has. Cynthia Rothrock does not have the most charisma on screen. This guy has charisma, but it's like bad charisma. It's like I look at this guy and go, "What a douche."
Yeah, exactly.
I want
he's
to
not great in the film. I wouldn't describe his performance as amazing.
But he's got a swagger, but it's like an unearned swagger. It's like I want to talk to the litany of terrible of his exes who talk about what a terrible boyfriend he was. He's just so conceited throughout the movie. He's like a guy who would tell you he's hot.
Right. Have you seen this earring? It's hot, okay?
Oh, nothing says 1992 more than that earring right there. He's rocking
the one earring.
That's a Luke Perry on 90210 earring right there.
For sure.
Not that I'm comparing that guy to the magical.
Oh, Luke Perry is a gorgeous man. Yeah.
Luke Perry, R.I.P. man, one of the best.
Yeah.
But he's going for that definition of cool. There's no question.
Yes.
But this guy is just like is this guy handsome?
sad.
Here's
I'm
a
sad
good
there wasn't a
question.
feather hanging off.
Yeah,
the
it does seem
earring,
like
though.
that. But I was gonna say, like, I get this guy is like tall and in shape, but I don't know if it's the personality. But he doesn't really read as like hunky to me as much as
No.
he seems to think he is.
Not really.
He looked like Oscar from the Bionic Woman, but with more hair.
Ah, very good. Yes, listen, this guy is just. If you go over to our Patreon page, you can listen to us talk about Mad Max Fury Road this month, and he's in that movie.
Really?
Yeah, the Prime Imperator.
So I looked at his IMDb, and he seems like he's completely unrecognizable now. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know if something happened or if it was just elective plastic surgery, but like everything's different.
100%. It was one of those things where it's like, that's him. It's not just getting older. It is definitely plastic surgery. It
Yeah,
has,
there's no thing at all.
yeah, it has telltale marks.
Oh.
Look at those cheeks.
do
Something's been done in there. That nose is different.
Very distinctive nose. I don't
Yeah.
understand. That's why I think maybe it was broken a lot or something.
Could be from the years of fighting, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a picture of him in some kind of training session with Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
What is that about?
Is that for the Marvel movies, maybe? It must have been.
Maybe. I don't know if this guy, maybe he's, okay, here we go. Fight coordinator. He does a lot of fight choreography and coordinating.
Ah.
And did he ever do a movie with her? I don't think so, actually. So I don't know. But maybe he trained her for something or other. Oh my God, he was the fight choreographer on Gymkata. Holy shit. That's amazing. But he's done like some of the X-Men movies and the Spider-Man movies. He was the fight coordinator on Fury Road. So that's probably
cool.
how he ended up
And
with
Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yeah, well, he's like best pals with Norris, so that kind of makes sense. And he's doing the fight choreography right now for Furiosa, the Fury Road prequel. So
Cool.
interesting.
Right,
Maybe you should stick to that because the guy knows
Maybe
martial
he
arts.
should do that. Yeah.
Yeah, but because
Yeah.
but no, leading man here apparently. So he's a total dick here. He gets dropped on his ass. Meanwhile, he's sneaking.
Ooh.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ghost in the Shell, fight trainer, Scarlett Johansson.
There it is. There it
it
is.
is.
That
Yep.
makes sense now. One of her worst movies, so that's good that he worked on. I don't know about the fighting was fine, I think, but that movie's.
Speaking of appropriation,
Oh dear God. That's one of those things too, where it's like totally valid those arguments, but also the movie's so shitty that it's even like let's not get too worked up over this.
right?
'Cause
Right.
Don't worry, guys. No one's gonna remember this movie.
Yeah.
Preston, meanwhile, is creeping around the rooftops like Batman, watching this drug deal go down. Like Batman if he was just a guy in blue jeans. By the way, another.
There's got to be a genre of action movie of white guy in blue jeans does roundhouse kicks.
Well, it's that subgenre is just called the 90s, right? Because the amount of denim in this movie is another indicative of 1992. This guy is ever in denim.
Yes.
But he's going to witness this drug deal, which turns into a murder. And at the same time this murder is happening, I don't know why, but the kid, what's the kid's name?
Paris.
Oh, yeah, weird. Weird choice for this kid. Patrick Y. Malone. Playing Paris. And he is also filming. He's filming this because this is going to be what the bulk of the movie is about. Not amazing, by the way, that the bulk of this movie is about the repossession of a tape. Another
Which
sign is 1992.
at the end gets destroyed, and therefore everything that happens doesn't matter.
That was
which
so
is cool.
weird.
I thought it was going to be a fake out.
I
or
thought
that
so-
they recorded it to something else.
I thought so too, especially because the bad guys don't look at the tape before and so I'm going like, well, that's stupid on your part. No, apparently that was the tape, and it's just destroyed, and there's no explanation or no conclusion. This movie doesn't bother to conclude any of this. Yeah, I am starting to come around to it's definitely the screenplay that's problem number one here.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
as it usually is.
it usually is. Yeah, exactly.
I do like this crooked cop in this drug deal just slapping Rita in the face like, dude, you work for her and she's like a crime boss. Why wouldn't she murder you right now, which she does?
Yep.
Yeah.
I understand you're like a sexist piece of shit, but how the hell did you see this ending well for you? Because he just immediately gets his brains blown out.
Yep.
Pretty graphically, like almost unnecessarily graphic for this movie. This movie that really probably could have and should have been a PG-13 has a couple moments of extreme violence. Because right, you got to get something to get those divorced dads excited. So she shoots him. Preston starts fighting the big bald henchman, who I immediately recognized from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies of this era. Toshiro Obata, who played Tatsu, the Shredder's number one henchman in the first two Ninja Turtles movies. Of course, that's what I recognized him from. And then meanwhile, this other guy is chasing Paris. And let's see. Oh, yeah. Preston gets there, like a hero, just in time for this kid to have already been beaten into a coma. Because that's the whole thing, too, is they have to look for this tape, but they have to put the kid in a coma so he can't just tell them where it is, of course.
Yes,
of course.
Exactly.
But I like that Preston can't stop this from, like, once again, for being, like, the hero. He's like, too bad. The kid's already been brain damaged.
Does Paris die? I'm trying to remember.
I don't think, no, doesn't he wake up at the end?
Yeah, I don't think he dies.
No, I think he's all right. They do kidnap him from the hospital where he's on much needed, like, vital life-saving machinery, and they do just dump him.
I don't know
on the
how
roof.
they managed to do that, but
they don't explain. They're just like, we have him now.
Yeah.
I don't think it's easy to just grab a coma patient out of a hospital, but but when he shows up and they're beating on Paris, Preston does get the one-liner of, "Wanna try that on me, mate?" Getting a mate.
Get it, you're Australian.
Do you? I don't think they can. I need to talk about a knife at some point in this.
Or a dingo.
It does
something on a Barbie.
It does feel a little bit like we're a little bit past it, but this is still maybe a little bit cashing in on that Australian craze following Crocodile Dundee. I mean, that was more like late 80s, but still, I think we're still in that, like, fascinated by Australia phase. I mean, I think we're still there to a certain extent. We love an Australian hunk in this country.
Well, that's kind of what this guy had to offer. Yeah. Like, that's really the only notable thing about him.
It's true. If this guy was American, he wouldn't have been in movies. It's just like, no. You're like a boring, tall hunk, but he's Australian. Put him as the lead.
That makes him interesting. Exotic.
I think the accent did a lot for this guy's career. Because they could find a lot of tall guys who knew martial arts, but Australian? So he drops that guy, of course. So then he takes the kid to the hospital, and this is where the cop just opens up on him. And then, I'm pretty sure those things are built into the ground. The desk at the hospital.
The desk.
When he pushes this into the guy, I don't think that's how that would work.
No.
Those seem pretty solid.
My favorite part of this scene is when he kicks the police officer into a man in a wheelchair, which is so crazy.
There is so much collateral damage that is just not even bothered to be addressed in this movie.
Yeah, and then a nurse is like, "Hey, you gonna pay for that wheelchair?"
And as he ran away, he said, "Wow."
He awkwardly runs away, does like looks left and right, and then exits.
This is where he does the line to nobody. Is when he's looking around, he goes, "No wonder most people die in hospitals."
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah. Yes.
Stupid. And we see the police now putting out an APB on him because he's being blamed for this cop's murder. They framed him.
Right.
This is where I thought, is the captain crooked? Because who's doing this?
She's
Right.
it's just hearsay. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, your cops are crooked. And she's like, that's what you say. And then they're like, the cops like, oh, he killed him. Oh, okay. Like, what? Like, where's any sort of detective work?
So the
at
only
all?
the only place he can go is Cynthia Rothrock's dojo.
Of course.
Yeah, obviously
Which
where she happens to be
Is
showering.
strange. Which is strange because they have no previous relationship. So why go to her?
He met her the first time at that one demonstration. This guy knows
Class.
no one else.
Yeah.
But he goes there. She's, of course, taking a shower for, like, the smallest moment of they're like, well, we need to put something kind of sexy in this movie, right?
Yeah. But not really showing much, which is appreciated. So
Well, yeah,
thank you, film.
Yeah, no, it manages to only be slightly pervy.
Yeah.
So yeah, he and
That's some high praise for an action shell film.
I know that's the best we're gonna do here. So so those two agree. She agrees to help him at least in the moment, and then later there'll be a thing where she doesn't trust him for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, that seemed like it came out of nowhere and went nowhere.
That's kind of the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Why does she? That's a great question. Why does she help him? Because she's not a police officer either.
No,
She's a high school teacher.
I guess.
Allegedly.
Yeah, that's what they tell us.
Allegedly.
We saw her at a school
Yeah.
at the beginning, but that's as much as I wanted so badly to see a scene of her in front of a chalkboard. Ugh.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
must have been because it was her student that got beat up. That's
Yeah.
like her only connection to this.
The only reason.
And of course, her brother.
Yeah, I don't think she
Yeah.
knows this is Drago yet, though, does she?
I mean, he's the bad
No.
bitch in town, so it's like he's
It's
be.
true. It does seem like all crime goes back to Drago eventually. He's like the kingpin. But Drago, now that he knows about the tape is out there, he calls up Hannah the Hun, and oh my god, this performance. Talk about somebody
it's
having
something
fun
else.
in a piece of trash movie. Alex Datcher, as I said earlier, Hannah the Hun, who refers to herself in the third person at all times.
At all
Branding,
times. It's
branding.
amazing.
She's working it.
Which is great. And she has an army of, I don't want to, at least seemingly prostitutes, at least as a disguise, right?
But then
Yeah,
like, one in
yeah.
particular we noticed is like in some sort of a business suit the whole time. I was like, what is this? Like
It's not cohesive.
the 90s did go through a weird time where just like college students on TV and all kinds of people were wearing business suits all the time, but it was very
Well, back
like,
to
is this some sort
back
of
to
like a yoga class?
90210. Andrea Zuckerman was always like in a blazer.
Yeah. Val in 90210,
Yeah.
she's always wearing a suit.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about. There was this sort of thing where it's like, it's an anytime outfit now.
Yeah. Heather Locklear made it sexy in Melrose Place.
Yes.
So
Look, 90s stuff, it all rolls back to those Fox nighttime soaps, you guys. It really does.
Does this group feel like a gang from the Warriors a little bit?
Or I was gonna say, or like John Wick. Also, it has a little bit
Or
of
John
that
Wick,
vibe
yeah.
of the hobo army in John Wick, right?
Right, exactly.
That thing where it's sort of like, oh, we are the amassed group of people that people ignore on the streets, but really we're operators that do stuff. And I will say, this is a cool idea that goes nowhere. They don't do enough with this. I love this idea of like either prostitutes or drug dealers or whoever they are, but these women who society kind of ignores so they can get away with crime. And I don't, I'm with you, Elizabeth. I want a whole movie about Hannah the Hun and her army of ladies.
Definitely.
And there's a cross-dresser in there at the very least. I don't know how this person identifies, but weirdly not trered poorly. And I was surprised.
waiting for it.
I was
waiting for it. I'm
like,
so
oh,
glad they did.
boy.
I was waiting. God damn it! I just knew Richard Norton was gonna say something.
Exactly.
Some kind
he
of-
was the one who was going to do it. If it was
Yeah,
gonna be
some
anybody.
kind of dude looks like a lady bullshit or something in here. And
him
no,
south of the border or something, making that some sort of a joke.
yeah, there
Yeah.
was gonna be something. Wouldn't want to find out what's between your legs or some
Or-
some bullshit. But no.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be like, because he's very hesitant to hit all of the women, but then it's like, oh,
he
I
was
can
gonna
hit,
just
you know,
beat
like,
the
or
living
something like
shit
that.
out of this person.
Like just something awful. I'm
No,
so glad that this movie
I
didn't
am
do it.
shocked
Thank
at the
God.
restraint 1992. Good
Yeah.
lord.
Yes.
This is like crazy radical left-wing progressive by 92 standards.
They're still portrayed as a criminal, but you know.
Yeah, but these criminals are portrayed as like I don't know what their deal is. Like I said, it's almost
It's hard to say.
it also seems like this is a world where everyone's a criminal once again. Like
Yes, including the police.
Including the police. The only people on the side of good are Cynthia Rothrock and Richard Norton. So she's gonna get some people on it, but she's got to negotiate. I also like they're negotiating for a percentage of what? She goes, "I'll do it for 20%." He's like, "I believe you cut out, and you were meant to say 10%." It's like, "Oh, honey, I think you mean 15%." I mean, it's all very cute, but I'm like, percentage of what?
Exactly.
Yeah, they're trying to find a videotape.
Crime?
I don't understand.
Is this just a cut of crime?
Drug money, maybe?
Maybe they were gonna give it to the newscasters and get like the money for it, you know, that like edit it, send it in.
I love the idea. Isn't the news station offering like 10 grand or something? Something that no local news station's offering that much money for footage. Good God. Sure. And also just any footage, it seems like. They just go, whoever brings us the best footage of just anything? Human interest stories, crime, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Cat videos.
I
it's
guess
very
I guess
America's funniest home videos.
I was gonna say, I guess there is no internet, so video footage is at more of a premium. So there now that Hannah's Army is on about the tape. They're looking for the tape, and Cynthia and Preston are looking for the tape. This is where she doesn't trust him for half a second because she sneaks into a police computer and sees that he's wanted for murder.
Yes. And she's like, "Oh no!" But doesn't she know they're looking for the tape because it'll prove that he didn't do the murder?
That's what I found so surprising about this. Why does she believe this police report that he's wanted for murder? And once again, for only like half a second.
Yeah.
But she does.
He doesn't even convince her.
No, he doesn't. She finally, and it's the only moment where she has a realization of like, oh wait, I don't know you at all. Maybe you are a murderer. But then, I don't quite know what makes her go, nah, you're fine. This movie.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah. I guess because, I love the scene where they're looking for this guy, Baby, which we'll talk about. He's an amazing character. But the scene where they go to find him and all the creeps under the bridge are hitting on her. But they're all hitting on her in the most, like, staged manner. I swear there's a guy who just leans into frame and is like, hey, baby. It's almost just like, you stepped on the right mark, and now it's my line. And, of course,
I just got my SAG card. Woohoo!
It is kind of that, where it's just like, I've been practicing this line all day. You know, it does have that kind of thing where it's like, finally, my time to shine. And, of course, one of these guys gets kicked in the balls.
Yeah,
classic. Happen. It just has to happen. Which is, once again, you can't have Cynthia Rothrock movie without one of these scenes too.
Exactly.
There's some real tenets of her filmmaking, her film work here, where it's like people will not believe she knows martial arts, and a bunch of creepy dudes will hit on her.
And she will kick one of them in the nuts.
Correct.
It has to happen. Yeah.
It just has to happen. Because we're making... we're making feminist films, I was going to say. I think they think, the women in the audience will appreciate that. I think that's what old Winkless is thinking when he's making this movie.
Your Rothrock's writer is all green M&Ms, and I must be able to kick at least one man in the balls.
I must destroy at least one pair of testicles per movie. That will happen. So they finally, let's talk about this performance. What is this guy's deal? Baby is this character.
Wow.
A former We get his backstory is that he was a former stockbroker turned
Yes.
drug addict.
Mm-hmm.
What are his drugs? Like, he says he's a heroin addict or junk, which I assume is heroin.
That's
And I was
usually
like,
what-
You're in
yeah.
Wall Street, shouldn't it be coke? Like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You'd think,
is
yeah.
the idea that he escalated, like the coke wasn't enough for him at a certain point, but it doesn't seem like that's an upper, whereas heroin would be more of a downer. So.
Downer,
He
yeah.
just seems to be like mentally ill. He just seems to be generally mentally ill and still wearing his suit, which is a nice touch.
Same suit.
But yeah,
And he's
like,
called Baby because the nickname came to him when he was a stockbroker, and they called him Baby Mogul.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad that Baby was revealed to be a full-grown man. I
Yeah.
laughed out loud when he was revealed.
You got
and-
you gotta love his one-liner. Before I was into junk, I was into junk bonds.
Exactly.
Good lord, what kind of Catskills one-liner is that?
Yeah, I don't
maybe
know.
he dated Terry first, and she started that whole bringing a tray of drugs to her
There you
boyfriend
go.
with him.
There you go.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
That'd be something, because this character
Actually, that would be something. Yeah.
this character doesn't have a lot to do. He is
Yeah.
just there to lead them to Fast Eddie. Like, this really is just this, like, just a parade of weirdos, this movie.
Yeah.
Because he goes,
Yeah.
oh, I had the tape. Yeah, the kid gave me the tape, but then I traded it to Fast Eddie for a car part, right? Because
And did you think every time this guy is driving, you're like, who let you drive? Like,
did.
who's like, this is a good idea?
Well, when he said he traded for the car part, I'm like, for the car you have? What? Where's this guy getting a car?
Great question.
It's a distributor. That's what it is that he has. Because then you do get the bit where he goes, great, now that I have a distributor, the car can run. He opens up the hood. He goes, does anyone know where the distributor goes?
Oh my goodness.
This character's meant to be like the comic relief sidekick.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So they go to.
It is broad.
Oh, is it ever?
Yeah, because he cannot make up his mind. Is he a drug addict? Does he have some sort of mental deficiency? Is it a combination of the two? It's not very clear.
I don't know. Yeah, the script is not
Yeah.
helping this actor by any stretch of the imagination.
That's true.
So he's gonna lead them to Fast Eddie, who is a chop shop owner / nightclub owner. Because
Sure.
they talk about this guy makes his money from chop shops, but then where is he? At his nightclub, which is so exclusive.
This is the early '90s, John. Everybody owned a nightclub.
Also, I have a nightclub. Yeah, and it's so exclusive. It's run by this big. There's a bouncer outside. Talk about Roadhouse. There's a bouncer outside, a big tough bouncer who will not let them in. Because we're gonna get a whole bit of this scene drag like nobody's business.
God, yeah.
Was this comedy? I think it was supposed to be. 'Cause
Certainly, he was trying to be. Yeah.
the guy won't let Baby in because he's a drug. Oh, the other thing is the teeth. They give him like bright orange teeth.
I didn't understand
It looked
that.
like he'd
That
been
was
eating
weird.
Cheetos or something, not like rotted meth teeth.
Yeah, I don't know what they were going for with that. It was very strange.
Very cartoony. So we won't let him in,
yeah.
and then we get the absolutely hilarious Cynthia Rothrock Valley Girl voice.
Where did that come from?
Don't know.
And why did she think that would work?
Well, especially because they're in they're in front of this entrance to the club, right? And there over there is a group to get the bouncer can see the three of them conspiring to come up with them. He knows they're all together.
Yeah,
then
somebody
finally-
he should have just been like, I can see you guys
Yeah.
and I can hear you from here.
Because then finally Richard Norton does a like, oh, my friends are inside and it's an emergency. And I do like the bouncer's one line because he goes, come on, man, be reasonable. And the bouncer responds, be gone.
Yeah.
And so then finally, after all this doesn't work, they just beat the shit out of this guy.
He's
Good
just trying to do
old-fashioned
his
assault.
job, okay?
Yeah.
How you
And
treat
no.
service industry people is a real measure of your character.
I mean, they
Yeah.
really lay this guy out too, because the two of them are just
Yeah.
going back and forth, clobbering this man.
And the fact that neither of them are police officers just makes it assault. Like,
Yeah, this is
in the eyes
this
of
is-
the law.
this is
they are
just a
just
crime.
assaulting this man.
And
Yeah.
he was never violent towards them. He was never even really rude towards them. He just said, "You can't come in." That's his job.
Exactly.
And he now has massive internal bleeding and probably lifelong issues. Because I mean,
Yeah.
Jesus, they let this guy. Yeah. So they now go into the club. I also like that because it's supposed to be this exclusive club with a bouncer, but there's no line of people outside because the movie can't afford
Nope.
the extras. And even when they go in the club, it's pretty dark and there's just a few people around, really, and this band. So they go to
The
question.
Infidels, John.
Oh yeah, the legendary
band
Infidels.
called the Infidels.
The legendary Infidels. Who could forget? Didn't they inspire the Beatles?
I think so.
I think that what they were mentioned as being a major influence. So they go into the club. They eventually find Fast Eddie. They're questioning him, but it's all a distraction while Baby goes and steals the tape, which he will very smartly then come out and go, "Hey guys, I stole the tape."
Good thing they trusted this guy.
Which prompts I can't remember if this is on our bingo card, but if not, the presence of an Uzi feels like it should be.
It should be, yeah.
Because when this guy just busts out this Uzi and opens up, and then it's not working, and we get a Cynthia Rothrock jammed. Well, this isn't, and she holds up her fist and punches him.
No, she holds up her fist
And then kicks
him.
You're right. Yeah, that makes no
Which
sense.
is so weird.
I thought I missed something. Thank you for making that is correct. I did see that, but I thought maybe I looked away. But no, I gave the movie too much credit.
You did. You
Yeah?
sure did.
I was like, oh, I think I must have, when I wrote that down, she must have hit him and then kicked him. Nope, she did just kick him. All right. So they run off, and this is where, he's shooting up his own club. He's shooting all the
Yes.
bottles of alcohol, and they're like, that's yours. You have to pay for that. What
It's more money than he would get for like selling the footage, or I don't know, protection he would get from Drago. Is that the only other reason he would want it?
I
Or to
couldn't figure out-
blackmail Drago?
Like, not only is it could he potentially kill some of the patrons, he's destroying all this stuff, and whatever repairs have to be done will shut the club down.
And all of those people are witnesses to him committing the crime of firing an automatic weapon into a group of
Yeah, so now when people go, what
Like-
club do we want to go to? Not that one. I saw the owner shoot into a crowd. Got a bad reputation.
His
whenever
younger
I
sister
commit-
in the toilet.
yeah,
One star. Owner shot at me with machine gun.
Whenever I commit crimes, I always do it in the place that I work at. It's that way it can never come back to me.
I understand shooting at them like back in his office or even like down a back hallway or like something like that. But just open up on the dance floor. This happens in so many action movies. It's insane when people just start shooting at people like in the middle of a match. Yeah, because it's one thing to go like, I'm a killer for the mob and I have targets or whatever, but it's another thing to go like, I'm cool with mass murder. Yeah, that's a jump that would be necessary for, once again, our clandestine criminal organization. This won't draw attention. Jesus Christ. So let's see. Then they're corralled in. This whole thing is a big trap, they realize, to get them locked in an elevator at Hannah the Huns.
Yeah, this scene, John, this boy, this scene.
So they're trapped in there, and oh god, this is I don't know what the best one line in this movie is, but this might be the worst one. When the elevator goes down and they see her whole army amassed in front of them, he goes, "This is one weird bloody Tupperware party."
Sexist
like, fuck
and
you.
lame.
Yeah.
It's just checking every box. I do like when this random cop goes to Drago now and goes, "Hey man, those martial arts people are creeping around, and now that you got people shooting up clubs, we guess the cops can't protect you anymore." And he pulls a gun on Drago, who does hit him with, "I do expect you to use that on yourself."
Oh, and he does, John.
Oh,
He does.
I don't think the human body works this way.
It's crazy.
He gets the guy.
Are you telling me there's not buttons and levers as part of your nervous system that make you pull your finger?
He forces the gun to the guy's head, and I think he's just going to use his finger to pull the trigger and kill the guy. Oh no! This is much more insane. Yeah, he starts pressing around like down by his elbow, trying to find the spot. And apparently, there's an individual spot. Oh my god! That controls each finger.
Yeah.
And we see him go through each of them going, no, yes.
I'm so sad. I'm so sad he wasn't like, and this little piggy.
Oh, that would have been something. Yeah, and he gets this guy to shoot himself. But I like that it requires the fingers out straight, and he gets it to curl into the trigger and then squeeze. Like, he has complete control over this guy's finger. It's not just like an impulse where if he already had his finger on the trigger, he might just pull it. He somehow is able to get him to curl it around the trigger.
It is the least logical way that this could go. Like, you could at least, obviously none of it makes sense, but there's a way you could portray it where it could maybe make more sense. I don't know. It's very strange.
It is very strange. I do like when he calls Hannah here and he looks down and he's like, "Yeah, I'll be over there in a little bit. I have some cleaning up to do. I've got cop brains all over my carpet." Because it's a fairly small caliber gun, but it like blows this guy's head apart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course. So let's see. So they're trapped in the elevator until they're let out, but they're forced to fight each other because this movie has to work backwards from like, well, how do we get the two of them to fight if they're partners?
Yeah.
But of course, this also involves stripping Richard Norton's shirt off.
For some reason.
A little something for the ladies in the audience.
Then shooting him in the leg and then being like, okay, fight now. Instead of vomiting and passing out, like, now you're going to fight.
And this is the second time he's been shot, by the way. Because he did get hit. Well, he got grazed in the hospital, which is nothing to this guy, of course. Because we didn't talk about that when he goes there and he has the graze when he takes his shirt off at Cynthia Rothrock's. And she goes, "Oh, my God." He goes, "Oh, come on. It's nothing."
It's nothing. Yeah, and then she keeps kicking him in the leg that got shot, which is very funny.
I did think that was funny. Yeah.
Got to make it look real.
Well, because I do like where she says that to him. She's like, "Come on, man, you got to make this look good. We got to really fight each other." Kind of the multiple low angle shots of her flipping through the air. So much and the Hannah's Army that's watching is loving every second of this.
Yeah.
What is Endgame?
Because she like,
go ahead.
Because she bounces off one net and then bounces off the other net, and then kicks him
like a pinball,
as if it's like a like a pinball or a Cirque du Soleil routine.
Bing. Yeah, I was waiting for the sound effects.
Very funny.
Bling bling bling. Like that kind of.
Yes.
Yeah, very Sonic the Hedgehog kind of.
I was just about to say, it needs that spring sound effect from Sonic. That would be perfection.
Sure.
And so, but I thought, what was Endgame here? Are they hoping that one of them is going to kill the other one? Because I don't think that's going to happen, man.
I don't know.
But of course,
idea.
It all just ends up with Preston getting close enough to grab a gun and put it to Hannah.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, keep in mind, Drago hasn't gotten here yet because he's still cleaning up that dead body in his office.
I just wanted to cut back and he's just scrubbing.
You can never get skull fragments out, man. I'm telling you. There's brain matters everywhere. I really should have thought of a less bloody way to kill this guy. Let's see. So he takes Hannah hostage. He goes, "That's it. We're taking the tape and this woman, and we're getting out of here." So they somehow off screen. Who is it? Somebody calls the news station, and they're like, they say if we can bring it down, they'll air it. They'll air a murder.
I don't
on TV.
remember this at all.
It's real.
Was it Baby who called?
I think it was Baby who called. He goes, I called W whatever X or something, and they're gonna air it. But of course, ring on the phone, and it's Drago going, "Yeah, I have that teenage kid who filmed it, though. If you don't give it back, I'll kill him, my sister." Him being her brother, now that I think about it, doesn't ever come back in any kind of way that matters, so why even introduce it?
Mm-hmm.
Great question.
They could have both just been students of the guy, and one went one way and the other. The fact that they're where is the scene where she's like, "You were once my brother"? Like, where's that Return of the Jedi? They're still good in you, or don't you remember the time? Whatever.
That would be interesting, but like by the time they fight at the end of the movie, none of that means anything.
No.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna go. Cynthia's gonna confront Drago. Preston, I don't know what he's gonna do. He's just gonna show up later, so he can dramatically throw the tape. And so they so he confronts that. They meet at the spot that he killed the master. Right, because they're up on the roof, and he goes, "Right down there. That's where I killed him." Or she goes, "That's where you killed him." He goes, "That's where he forced me to kill him."
And if that was like a something we had seen, that would have been kind of a cool little moment.
That could have been the first scene of the movie. It's like start with a little prologue where we see that fight. And she finds...
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that is the most common kung fu plot, I think, is someone has killed my master. That is always what we're avenging. But yes, usually the master is a character for a little while. Here it's just like, you know how kung fu people have masters? Yeah, hers died. And her brother killed him.
Yeah, there's not even flashbacks at all. It's just a picture.
No.
Like a photograph.
Where's that Pray for Death flashback in that movie? We love that the guy's ninja master got killed in a poorly handled flashback, but still. I mean, it's still an action job movie, so it wasn't well done. But so she fights Drago up until, let's see, well, she's gonna get thrown off the roof.
Well, she saves him.
That's what it. That's right. He ends up hanging off the roof, and she saves him, and then he throws her off the roof.
Yeah.
Yes.
Asshole.
Yeah.
And she's
not even
fine. Pretty much.
Somehow.
Like, she kind of just gets the wind knocked out of her. Is the way she plays it.
She can't get up. She doesn't get up the rest of the movie, right? Doesn't the ambulance come and take her away?
Oh, I guess that's right. But she's like totally conscious and like, she's talking.
Yeah.
You're right. She does not get up. It's true. So I guess she's paralyzed. I don't know. We'll have to find out in Rage and Honor 2, which does exist.
What?
Yeah, they made a sequel with these two.
Oh, man.
I have no idea what that would be. But yeah, Rage and Honor 2, Hostile Takeover.
Ow.
Yeah.
Clearly, we have to look into this.
Obviously, and the poster for that one is even more Lethal Weapon knockoff. Yeah. Oh my God. Patrick Muldoon is the bad guy in that.
What?
Yeah, now we are talking about 90s nighttime soaps because he was definitely on Melrose Place. Oh man, okay. Yeah, we definitely have to watch that. We will figure out when that goes on the schedule. So they fight, and then I do like that. Like, Preston leaps into the fray after she's been thrown off the roof. Of course, he gets tagged in. Once again, this is like last week's movie, Listman, where we wanted Cynthia and the guy to fight the bad guy together, And instead, this is the same thing as last week, where just the guy fights she fights the guy for a little bit, and then just the guy finishes him.
Yeah, it could again. It could just be a thing of like, Conrad is too strong. He was like the best student. I was never able to take him. That kind of stuff.
Well, because that makes him more threatening if it takes two martial artists to take him down, and he's fighting both of them at the same time.
We just want a scene like that one fight scene in The Raid,
yeah.
where the two brothers are fighting.
Listen, I think, we would put The Raid up pretty near the top of fight scenes, wouldn't we? So I think that's always the barometer any movie should be reaching for, because that movie has some of the greatest fight scenes I've ever seen.
Oh, yes.
And The Raid 2 still has one of my all-time favorites, which is that fight inside of the car. Between cars, right? They're going between cars and fighting each other. It's pretty amazing. Yeah. But when he leaps in, Drago goes, "The cavalry," and he goes, "No, the partner." I guess they're partners now. What does that mean? She's not a cop. He's not even really a cop.
So
I don't know.
Split up at the end of the movie. He immediately leaves. So
I don't quite understand. Yeah. Like the way this is said, it seems like the movie wants me to go like, yeah, in that kind of like Lethal Weapon or buddy cop thing where it's like, oh, the third act, now they're fighting for each other, But the movie hasn't.
But then you're just like, but then it just makes you think, what are they to each other? Like nothing.
No,
really.
No, and he really, once again, only when she is completely disabled is he like, all right, I'll get involved, because he was watching that fight from the rooftop above.
I was thinking hey, partner, maybe don't save the evil brother dude. Why don't we just let him fall?
And once again,
and then when she gets thrown off the building, he's like leaning on a rail, like very casually watching it happen.
You're like, oh no,
he does not flinch or care at all. It's Baby who runs down and checks on her to see if she's okay.
It's true. Baby is the heart of this picture.
I'd like to think so.
Before he did junk bonds. So anyway, this is pretty boring, I thought, this fight, because Preston basically just destroys Drago.
It's not even close. Yeah.
Which I also thought was lame. It's like, so what? Once again, we're just meant to think he's just a way better fighter than Cynthia Rothrock, because she actually had like a back and forth with Drago, and then he comes in and just dominates.
You could make the argument that Drago is weaker because he had to fight Rothrock
His
first,
health bar had already been depleted quite a bit.
Exactly. If we're going off of Mortal Kombat.
She loosened it for him, is right, Elizabeth. She got it started.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, he gets kicked off the roof, but he doesn't land as well as Cynthia because he gets impaled on some pipes.
Yeah.
And no one cares that this guy is dead.
Nope.
His girlfriend.
No, there is no reaction to this man's death. No, even like shot of Cynthia Rothrock being like, well, he was evil, but he's still my brother, so I'm kind of sad that he's dead. Nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
It's just like, all right. And then, she's getting loaded up into the ambulance, and Preston has to get out of town because I guess his name hasn't been cleared.
Nope. That was not resolved at all.
And so, he gets in a truck with this guy at the end. This guy, and this is the director, I did not realize that. His line is so funny where he goes like, do I detect a bit of an accent? Do I detect a bit of an accent? And then he goes, what do you think about America so far? And then he's like, never mind. I don't give a shit. And they just drive. What? What is this scene?
Everybody kept asking him that throughout the movie. Like, oh, what do you think of the States? What do you think of the States?
Yeah.
I think this was supposed to be like the punchline to that, but it
As
kind
the guy
of was
goes-
much like the origami. In the beginning, he's leaving origami everywhere. You'd think there'd be some sort of origami at the end.
Yeah.
No origami.
Yeah.
Cynthia Rothrock wakes up in her hospital room, and there on the table is an origami thing or
Exactly.
Something. That would be something.
I don't know, some kind of payoff, some kind of arc or sense of structure in this movie. No one involved in the making of this movie, aside from these two actors, is involved in the sequel. So it is not the same filmmaker.
Probably for the best.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe I have slightly more hope They once again got like a real actor in Patrick Muldoon though to be the best. I mean, like a TV actor, but still, they get actual actors to be around them. And then that's the end of the movie. Is these two guys drive off, and I thought that's there. There isn't even like a final scene really between Cynthia Rothrock and this guy.
Oh.
Nope.
These movies are always in such a hurry to just be like, we're done.
The
That's it.
closest this movie gets. The closest this movie gets is because she kept saying, "I could have taken you in a fight," you know, and I think she says that as he's leaving. It's like, I still could have taken you. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
That is, but my attitude is just like, who cares at that point? Like, really big deal.
Well, yeah. At this point, I'm just like, oh, the movie's over. Thank God.
Now that her spine is crushed,
Right.
I guess she got better though by the time for Rage and Honor 2, which is just the next year, as I see here, 93.
Oh wow, that's a quick turnaround.
That's kind of how these things work, man. I think they just pump these out.
In the sequel, it says she plays Chris Fairchild, a U.S. government agent undercover in Indonesia.
What the fuck?
Okay,
so maybe the teacher thing was a cover too. Like what?
That's what the sequel will retcon that.
Wait,
how do you go for that?
That is nuts. Oh, that makes me want to see this movie even more now.
Yeah,
this sounds great.
Michael's an ex-cop hiding out in Indonesia and running a boxing gym.
Okay, see, that makes sense. He's on the run because he still has that murder charge hanging over him. But then at some point in the interim, she became a government aide. I like that whatever new screenwriter who came in for the second one was like, this doesn't make any sense. She just needs to also be in law enforcement. That's the only way this makes sense.
Completely scrap the school teacher thing.
Yeah, that is just...
That doesn't matter. It never mattered.
Yeah, it is like... Because I did look at this and just go, why didn't they just make... She really should have been a cop or something. Yeah, exactly. Or literally anything. And instead...
Or she could be like the martial arts instructor for like the police, you know, like
well, because it seems like
police officers how to fight.
Exactly, but it seems like they kind of half-heartedly do that, where she's handing out the flyers at the police station, and all the cops do know her. So it seems like the cops are. Also, none of the corruption stuff is resolved at all. Of course, it still seems like this is a city full of crooked cops, and like full-on murderer cops.
Yeah, the redhead, she gets away with it. Like she's fine at the end of the movie.
She and Shredder's henchmen, they just take off at the end of the movie.
Yeah, they're fine.
Well, it seems like
Hannah is okay. You know, that's what I care about.
That's a bummer that in a sequel none of those characters come back, because that's what you want to see.
Yeah.
Now I want to see Rita as the main villain, having taken over the city. And maybe they have to team up with Hannah because, you know, Rita's got such an oppressive thumb on the crime.
That's true. And I love that Rita was like looking down at Conrad's body and just soaking it in. Like she was really having a good time at the end there. She's like,
How did I not realize that police captain was Daisy Duke from the Dukes of Hazzard?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't put that together until right now that I look at it, but that... Weird. She looked different here. Before she and Evelyn.
Her hair. Like I was like, is it windy? Like
yeah, it's really and also it's such a nothing part. I think I didn't even bother to process that I would know this actress from anything. This is a huge come down from that. Before she ends up on The Young and the Restless. Yeah, well, they all end up there eventually. Lots of soap opera crossover with action shelf movies, which people are always surprised by. I'm like, I'm not. That's about the level of acting they're looking for. And as we've talked about with you before, lots of Hallmark movie crossover too. Lots of them.
Yep.
Because that's
now
all.
The soaps are kind of mostly gone. Hallmark is stepping in.
Lots of soap people on Hallmark, and then those Hallmark people are in the action shelf movies. It's all just one big circle of sort of like B entertainment. And if you can get in on that, I always talk about if you can be like a Lacey Chabert or an Autumn Reeser, that is a sweet gig if they just keep bringing you back every year for those
consistent paycheck for sure. Yeah,
it is like it's almost like being on a show to a certain extent where you go like I can count on one Hallmark Christmas movie a year, and some of them do other stuff. Yeah, sometimes you can do.
Sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say sometimes you get multiple Christmas movies, and then sometimes you can also be in their autumn movie, their summer movie, their
That's literally what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Because I've seen. I know. I'm always surprised when I'm like, they make Valentine's movies too. Yeah, you could conceivably just go year round, going from Hallmark movie to Hallmark movie.
Oh yeah, it's a good gig for sure.
It's a sweet. I mean, they don't pay a ton, but they probably pay enough individually. If you do a couple, you're making a decent. Listman, get on that train, man. Get up to Canada. I've said this before. You got to get up to Canada. You could be somebody's wisecracking friend in a Hallmark.
Probably,
movie.
yeah,
Sure.
like the nerdy best friend or something.
Barista.
Yeah, I think so.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's always a barista confidant, who's making the peppermint, hot chocolate and things like that.
Oh, or like the guy in the chef's hat at the bakery, because there's a lot about bakeries too. So you're like the assistant baker who's going like, I'm telling you, it's just like, no, that does sound complicated.
Just dishing out life advice like I'm a bartender,
Yeah. In
definitely.
the course of love, Sydney, you've just got, whatever, like that kind of stuff, right? With no backstory,
right?
With no explanation as to who you are or how you know anybody. That's what I always love about those characters.
Because my character, he doesn't need a backstory. He is all about helping other people.
Man, you'll get the part if you say that. Thank God, an actor who wants no backstory. You put him in every movie we make.
His flaw is that he focuses on other people. He never looks inward.
Finally, we got somebody who gets it. All right, well, so that's Rage and Honor. I feel like the best death in the movie is the last one, right? I mean, the only one who gets killed in an interesting way is Brian Thompson.
Well, okay. That one, and also the man who's forced to shoot himself in the head.
Oh, wait a minute.
Crazy.
That's yeah. I think we do have to go. We do have to go. I forgot about that. Yeah. I didn't forget about it, but yes, I didn't for some reason. Yes, that is the best death in the movie out of complete insanity. We got a few one-liners to choose from here. Let me go through these one-liners again at the end. So after she beats up the guys trying to rob her at the ATM says, have a nice day. And she says, I'll pass that on. When some bad guys are beating up Paris, Preston shows up and says, want to try that on me, mate? After the insanity that happens in the hospital that we discussed, Preston says to no one, no wonder most people die in hospitals. Preston, trying to reason with the bouncer at the club, says, be reasonable. And the guy says, be gone. Yes, of course, we have Baby saying, before I was into junk, I was into junk bonds. When the machine gun isn't working, Cynthia Rothrock says, jammed. This isn't. Holds up her fist and then kicks a guy. When they are confronted by Hannah's army of women, Preston does say, this is one weird, bloody Tupperware party. Yeah, no, that's a stinker. In the scene we talked about where the cop pulls the gun on Drago, he says, I do expect you to use that on yourself. The key is that ... And then, of course, after the guy shoots himself, he says, I have some cleaning up to do. And then finally, when Preston leaps into the battle, Drago says, the cavalry? And he says, no, the partner. Yeah, not good. Oh. What do we think here?
I actually like the first one. I like the ATM one the most.
I'll pass that on.
Yeah, that would be...
That has a sense of humor to it.
That worked pretty well.
That the other ones are... A lot of the other ones are like, ugh. Anything Preston says is like, oh, God.
It's an eye roll for sure.
The
only other one I like is your gun is unloaded.
Just because she kicks him after she shows her fist? Why did she have to show her fist? If she had just said jammed, this isn't, and then kicked him, that would have been effective.
Right. But I think by itself, the ATM one-liner is a better one.
I also just kind of like that we have one on the list that's to a machine.
Yeah.
Like, I love people
That's
saying
true.
one-liners basically to themselves. It's the same thing. I don't like the hospital line, but I like this, like, everyone is gone, and then he says something. And then and then, like you were saying, he runs off, so it's almost like, I gotta get this in, and then go! Hold on, I've got to run right now, but first I gotta say something quippy. So off he goes. I think we're gonna give it to I'll pass that on, the one to the ATM. I think that is our best bet here. All right. Well, as you know, it's always my mission to find the strangest IMDb reviews for these movies. And let's see. Where do I? Okay, here we go. This one is. There aren't too many strange ones, but this one is odd. Let's be for sure. And you'll know it right from the title of the review. This comes to us from IMDb user WH Pratt 1. And the review is titled, Male and Female, Duel It Out! Somehow I missed this series of films and enjoyed this flick from the beginning to the very end. Cynthia Rothrock was a high school teacher and decided after work to use an ATM and had some very nasty encounters by some real bad dudes who hit on her in more ways than one. Richard Norton played a cop who got himself messed up with all kinds of characters, and mainly a very hot, sexy, everywhere redhead, and things started to pop, and that is all in capitals. Terry Terrace was a very sexy, mean mama who did not mess around and had her eyes set on giving Preston Michaels a real hard time in more ways than what she wanted. There was a lot of combat, and it's up to you to figure out if the male or the female won the Battle of the Bulges. 10 out of 10 stars.
Did this guy watch the movie? Like, what? I wish he had written it.
I think he just looked at the poster.
What the fuck?
The ending was the part that got me, where it's like, it's up to you if men or women are better. What?
Battle of the Bulges?
Yeah, I know. I don't even. Yeah, I don't know, man. This guy. All right, that one is. As I read it out loud, I was like, okay, this is weird. Like, I know it was weird, but it was like that is truly insane.
One of the weirdest ones I've ever heard.
Yeah,
for sure.
that's up there for the strangest review I have ever found. Well, we aren't the only ones who saw this movie. It's time to check in with our favorite Amazon.com reviewer for another segment of The Winning Opinion. Yes, Bruce Winning did get a chance to see Rage and Honor. And here is his review entitled, Falling Off a Building Can Hurt. 4.3. I prefer 16.9. Not 5.1, but 16.9 is my favorite quality. I like the action and violence. I like the shooting. I like the punching and kicking. That is the strong point of this movie. So, you see that my favorite qualities, I still give you see that without my favorite qualities, I still give 5 stars because of the action and violence and the story. 5 out of 5 stars. See, Bruce is not a man purely defined by tech specs. If you put enough action and violence in a movie, he'll still give it 5 stars. I love that one.
Falling off a building can hurt.
Such
a great. It can hurt.
That may be my favorite title for any review he's written.
It's so good. It's so good.
No, the only other one was when we read that X-Files review where he goes, "This is fiction." Or is it? Or something like that. There was one where he implied that the X-Files might be true.
Right.
That was pretty fun.
There was a subset of people who kind of believed it, right?
Yes,
like,
there was
like
people who really, like, these are based on the real case files of the, you know
right.
No,
right, exactly.
Come on.
Nope.
Look, I recognize I am 100% a Scully in real life, so but early season Scully, when she still didn't believe in stuff before she empirically knew stuff was true.
Exactly.
Let's see. Well, we thought this movie was all right, but maybe could be improved. So we're gonna fire up our handy dandy action movie title generator and try to come up with a better vehicle for these two actors. And let's see here. Let's fire this thing up. Oh, that's not it. Hold on. Here we go. So here we go. This is the movie is called Result of the New Order.
Oh my god.
Uh,
God.
Result of the New Order. Some of these words that it puts together. So this, I'm going to say this is a reteaming of the Astaire and Rogers of martial arts. And let's make Brian Thompson the bad guy again. Not a sequel to this, but let's just bring the three leads from this one back together. And
we should bring back Helen.
Helen?
Or Hannah, sorry.
Hannah.
We should bring back Hannah.
Sure.
Yes. She's the only one that is reprising her role. So let's see. Result of the New Order. Does this imply some sort of, to me, like dystopian future?
Yes, definitely.
Maybe
Yes.
some kind of totalitarian thing?
Yeah, New Order has some very Nazi, vibes to it for sure.
You could go the restaurant route where Rothrock and the dude they have a diner in this post-apocalyptic world, and they have revised the menu. And as a result of this new order, the locals are really pissed, and they have to fight them all.
I do love the idea of again them as diner owners / martial arts experts.
I love this direction. This is absolutely
this show direction to choose the silliest.
Yes,
but I like that it is in this totalitarian.
It still is in a dystopian totalitarian future, but is Brian Thompson the person who is up in arms about the new order, or is he the totalitarian, or does the totalitarian government not matter? It's just a backdrop.
Could be the backdrop. He could be the fry cook. He could be also really mad about the new menu and could be sabotaging.
Yeah.
You didn't give me the time to train on this new food, and now people hate it because I can't cook it right. You thought, yeah. I love the idea that the totalitarian thing is purely in the background of the movie. Like,
and the final fight scene is them fighting with either food or cooking implements.
Yes,
is what
it's just that it's like a Jackie Chan kind of thing where they're grabbing stuff in the kitchen. So it could be both, right? It's like the carrot, it's a knife, it's a whatever, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, cycling through them. Yeah,
there you go. Result of the New Order. Oh,
I love this.
That's going to be a weird movie coming to your Redbox very soon. Well, Elisabeth, always a pleasure to have you on the show. You are, of course, welcome back anytime. Next week on the show, listen, Cynthia Rothrock's September comes to an end. The only way we could imagine it, the movie we set out to want to do this for, we previously watched last year on the show, we watched her as the supporting character in Martial Law, starring son of Steve McQueen, Chad McQueen. But this time, Chad McQueen is gone, and it's a Cynthia Rothrock vehicle for Martial Law 2 Undercover.
Yes.
That's right. Oh, yeah, we're finally getting to see this. This is the one everybody says is much better than Cynthia Rothrock. The first one, since Martial Law. As always, Lisman, I'll ask, would you like to hear the tagline for this movie?
Of course, yeah.
2 cops alone against the city's biggest crime ring. Some would call it impossible. They call it martial law. There you go.
Okay.
A little
wordy,
but I like the intensity. I like where it's going with that. So we're going to do that next week on the show. Maggie Torres, who did the first movie of the month with us, will be back to finish up Rothrock September with us. And I know she's very excited.
It made sense since she's seen the first Martial Law.
She did see the first Martial Law, so she can talk about this. I don't know how much of a sequel any of these movies really are.
Probably
there are any kind of threads, but because we do not have David Carradine back as the bad guy, of course, because his heart exploded at the end of that other one, if you remember.
It did do that,
yeah. But weirdly, we have an actor named Drago as the bad guy, Billy Drago, who we've seen in some stuff before. So that'll be next week on the show. But that's going to do it for this week's episode of The Action Shelf. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Michael Listman.
Till next week, get yourself some action.
The Action Show. action show. The action show. The action show.